Oh, hey folks. I've decided to put some 80s music on. Just because it makes me happy. And we can all do with a little bit of happiness in our lives, couldn't we? So, I'm sure you're all keen to know what's kind of been happening with the mod since the first release. We've got a lot of really valuable feedback from a lot of you, so thank you so much for that. It's been very, very good. I'm sorry that we haven't done all that many streams lately. My god, this music's loud. Calm it down. Oh, there we are. There we are. That's better. I can think now. That always helps. Ish. So, I'm sure you're keen to know what we've been up to. Now, you've probably seen this before. I'm going to drag this over here. This is our scope for Release 2. And we're kind of in the process of going through these at the moment. We've got various bug fixes based on your reports that we're in the process of doing them. You can see we've started doing them, but haven't finished. There's always more that we can do there. We want to include an Orion minor faction. Got a little a Riemann minor faction, some more maps. Complete the outstanding UI elements that we really wanted to do. A few balance changes that are coming in. Specifically, there's a couple of things that are overpowered that we found, and I'm sure a lot of our players have found as well that we need to fix. And yes, so somebody asked when's the mod being released. It already has been. Fix shipyard shenanigans, which basically means we found that the AI wasn't rebuilding frigate or capital yards if they were destroyed, and that was we believe because they were in the tactical slots and it didn't quite understand what to do with it, so we've had to move those back to logistical slot areas, which is a bit of a shame. It's not the vision we had, but that's the Sins engine, and you've got to take the rough with the smooth. And I've been in the process of making some random events. We've got a Zindi small probe random event, an STA 3 style neutral trader ships event, and the Narada event. In fact, Max did a little bit of work on the Narada vessel today. So hopefully I'll have that in over the next couple of days. We've also got something which is effectively a Doomsday Machine event, but it's going to behave quite differently to the one in STA 3. One thing that we don't want to do is have planet-ending stuff so much. Yes, the Mirror Terrible faction. Yeah, that's got its little thing as well. You know what you get if you feed a Tribble too much? Well, a Mirror Tribble. And yes, so the Doomsday machine will be a heavily damaged Doomsday machine, and it'll wreak havoc on your ships if you're in front of it. If you're clever enough to move your ships around behind it and stay behind it, then it won't be able to do much damage to you, if any. And it'll be worth a good amount of XP. We've got an unidentified probe that looks like the Nomad probe, and that's going to be, to all intents and purposes, a peaceful thing that just roams around. You can destroy it if you want to for a decent amount of XP, but if it's attacked, it will respond in kind, and you will find yourself in for a bit of a difficult fight. So that's what we're doing for this release. There'll be more minor factions later on. We haven't agreed on what they are yet, which is why I've just put 5 minor factions. And you can see that we've got our Orion Riemann minor. So that's the release scope for the next release. Now, very important things that we've done, let's get that out of the way, is if I open this up and it doesn't crash because I've been messing about. Ah yes, the Carnivorous Trouble event. Ah, it's a full faction, mate. Right. One of the major things that we've been able to address, we'll just go for Eye of Apollo, is a lot of the zoom lag that you guys have been getting. And now, it's not fully implemented yet, but one thing that we found is we didn't have something called mip maps on a lot of our textures. And what mip maps are is they are a load on demand texture. So if you're very zoomed out, It's a very small texture, but as you zoom in, it loads a better quality texture up until you're right up next to it, which means you've got graded loading and it doesn't have to reload the texture every time. And that's something that we were missing, particularly on planets. Now, all the planets have now got mip-maps, and that has somewhat mitigated the zoom stuttering that you guys were getting. And that's a really big deal. We know it was annoying for a lot of players. Live dashboard, because I don't know how many people are watching. One thing that my chat facility doesn't do anymore is it doesn't tell me how many people are actually watching. Buggers. Oh, you got a beer, Declan. I like it. I've just got a cup of coffee, I'm afraid. Another thing I'm working on right now is to try and lessen the loading times as much as possible. That's the bit that's going to be tedious today, which is why I need you guys to talk to me and keep me sane, really. That's the intent, anyway. Unfortunately, removing stock assets... Right, so if I zoom all the way out and now I zoom back in, you'll notice that zooming is a hell of a lot smoother than it was. I can also do all entities detected. We'll zoom out here and say we'll zoom into this class L, and you'll notice that while there is still some very slight stutter, it's nothing like it was. So I'm sure that is going to please a lot of you immensely. Oh, better stutter on that one because of this thing. But that's a hell of a lot better than it was. And I'm quite happy to report that. Delighted, in fact. We are going to keep doing this. Some ships and stations still don't have mip-maps, which ultimately we're going to put them in. And that's going to be quite nice. So anyhow, that's what we've been doing. Another thing that I've started doing is removing stock assets from something called the Entity Manifest. This thing here, the Entity Manifest, right now it has got 3,214 entries. I would guess I can remove about 1,000 of them. That's my guess. Because they're all stock entities. Now, every entity in the Entity Manifest is loaded upon game start, and that causes a delay in load time, as you can imagine. Hey, Brocode, how you doing? So, the more I can remove from the stock game that we aren't using, the better quality of the better speed of the load, at least, is going to be. So that's something that I need to work on a little bit today. I could show you a random event or two if you guys want to see them. So let's go for P, spawn random event. Let's spawn a Zindi probe. Now, typically speaking, that arrives at the star. So if we just wait a couple of seconds. Oop. Blah, 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 blah. Zindi build button. Oh, we haven't done those yet. So here is an experimental probe. This is the small siege probe. You can see that it hasn't got its own warp effect yet. Yes, it did, Grim, and I've removed that now. That's another quality of life update that we needed to do. Yeah, that Madversary time is now gone. What these fellas will do is they will traverse around until they find a planet to go and assault. Hopefully they will do soon. Let's just see where the other one's gone. I think it went the other way. Oh, where it's gone. Keep an eye on... There are 3 of them that spawn at the moment. We may change that. 2, they haven't got a great deal of health. Well, this isn't really a playthrough. This is modding. Okay, so this will probably do stuff now that it arrives here. No, it's decided it doesn't want to go for the Vulcan separatists, which is interesting. It has a plan. Not sure what its plan is, mind. Or is it going to go around? Let's see. It's gone round. It's trying to avoid the turrets. Clever Xindi Pro. And what these guys do, you'll note, is that they wreck the population on a planet. However, they don't destroy control of the planet. So, as a player, they're going to be really annoying because they'll destroy your tax income. What they won't do is they won't destroy your control of the planet. You can see that they can be destroyed relatively easily, but unless you're really switched on, they'll absolutely ruin your tax income. Yes, Centurion. I already noted that they were stopping. So there you go. That's the Xindi Probe event. Let's spawn another random event that we've popped in. Let's go for the friendly trade colony. Oh god. Where have they been detected? Over here. This little star. Here they are. Trade. So these fellas are mainly made up of either Ferengi or Andorian vessels. And what they'll do is... You can see that these guys are vulnerable, so they can't be targeted. They will go to a planet that is owned. Yeah, we're going to have a placeholder effect here, so I apologise. And they will drop off some trade envoys and establish an embassy. This is Klingon right now, that's going to change. And you can see that your tax income is increased by 25%, and your population growth rate is upped by 250%. So they're quite useful. They also directly put 10 population on the planet, but it doesn't show you that. So these guys can be really quite useful, and they will affect everybody equally because they'll just go around finding planets that have been colonized and doing the same thing. You can see they're going to do. Here you go. And they're off, now that they've established their trade embassy. That lasts a limited amount of time, of course. It's pretty good as an event. Right, let's take a look at another random event I think I've put in today. Dangerous asteroid. Many of you will recognise this from STA3. What this lad here does, once its textures have loaded in, is it will spawn at a random planet, and it will slowly... we need to get rid of that fist. That fist is annoying, it's rebels. It will slowly make its way towards a planet. You can see that it has got 10,000 health. As it gets towards the planet, ultimately what it will do is it will crash into the planet. Let's see if that works, because I didn't check it. Survives, which it may. You can see it'll take 4 or 5 ships to destroy it. It is taking a lot of damage. It is quite slow, so you do have every opportunity to stop it. Hey Richard, how you doing? think they're actually going to beat it. It's close. Oh, they managed to beat it. Well done. Well done, Planetary Defenders. But what it will do is it will crash itself into the planet, killing a lot of population and causing a decent amount of damage, unless you get there in time. It's a fun little event which doesn't necessarily cause you terrible problems. And that's what a lot of our events are intended to do in this. We know STA3 had a lot of really devastating random events. And we're not keen to replicate that. And you can see that we've got a couple more to go in, the Narada event and the Doomsday Machine. And a Spatial Anomalies random event, which is going to act much the same way as something like... what is relevant from stock? Like a Gamma Ray Burst. Or something of that ilk. We fixed the Klingon D5 tanker antimatter refill because it wasn't refilling antimatter. So that's good news as well. Star Trek versus Star Wars would be interesting. Yeah, it would be an interesting thing to do. Interesting mod to have. I don't expect that it will happen. We get the proto molecule. That would be a good mod, wouldn't it? I think there is an Expanse mod being worked on. I'm sure many of you guys know about it. And that'll be very cool. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. But what I'm doing at the moment is, in fact, I should get out of game entirely. Is I'm removing stock assets. It's annoying, it's tedious, I don't like doing it. I don't like doing it. But it is necessary. So the next thing that I want to do is find capital ship entries, so capital ship phase 2 for example, and remove those from the listings. The more ships that I can remove from the listings before I start looking at abilities or research, the better it's going to go for me. Of course, this lessens the load order as well. These are research subjects, so we need to ignore these for the moment. And the quests we want to leave as well. Okay, look, here's a load of capital ships here. Capital ship, that is a good number of them. Let's get rid of all those. Done. Any more? I think we might have just got the vast majority of them now. See, now that we're up to Klingon, Romulan, etc., that eliminates most of the capital. Okay, great. That's good news. What I can do is I can do something, Control F, count, and you can see we've got 3196 now. Back up to the top. If we save there, and just make sure that it's not going to cause any problems. I'm trying not to do too much at once, because sometimes you've got to backtrack quite a lot if there's something still in the spawn list. I don't think there are any Orville themed mods at the moment. Okay, so it looks like we're okay at the moment. Let's just start a vast map. Hey, what's up, girl? Why are you not on Twitch too? I only stream on one thing at once. Either Twitch or YouTube. The first should only represent rebels. Shouldn't represent planetary militia. because we already have them for planetary. Yes, Master Dude. I can only if I stream to Twitch, I have something called an exclusivity clause for 24 hours. So I can't put that content from that I produced on Twitch anywhere else for a day. Afterwards, I can do what I want with it. But Twitch does demand that level of exclusivity, which I think, from a business standpoint, that's a very good thing. And Twitch is, of course, running a business, and so am I. Part of the reason that I do YouTube and Twitch is because I do like to make a little bit of pocket money from it. So abiding by said agreements is a good idea for me. Oh, help me get Sins of the Prophets to work like 3 years ago. Oh, bless. So it looks like we're absolutely fine. No issues with the load order there. Oh, in other Romulan developments, you can see here, folks, that we have a Romulan shipyard in now. What are the Romulan shipyards? I think we might have both of them. Yeah, we did. Got both Romulan shipyards in game, which we didn't have before. In addition to that... Built.
Station complete.
We have a Romulan culture state. This is really nice. It's the it's based on the Romulan star base, I believe, from Star Trek Legacy. I think. Don't quote me there, though. I could be wrong. Yeah, I really like this. I love those wings. Nicely done.
We cannot, Commander.
We cannot. Looking nice. Looking very, very nice indeed. And we will have more Romulan stuff in the near future. I know that we've already got a construction ship, but it just hasn't been put into game quite yet. Which, of course, it will. Hopefully in the near future. I know Max was fiddling with it earlier. Early Romulans, soon. This isn't in Release 2 scope. Release 2 scope is, say, these fine fellas here. Romulans will be in Release 3, but we're already working on them because it makes sense to do so. I'll ask what's going to be a stupid question considering how much time I spent on Sins. How do I capture minor factions? Each time I take the planet, nothing happens. Well, in order to get a minor faction, all you need to do is you need to... we might not have anything here. Yeah, we haven't. Of course we haven't. You need to build a diplomacy ship. What do they call? Envoy. Take your envoy to the minor faction. Try and avoid any guns that they've got. So, like, for example, here you might want to bring your envoy around here. And then cast something called Goodwill on the planet, and the planet then becomes yours. So all of these turrets around the planet will become yours. Tellarites? Yeah, Tellarites. All these ships will be on your team, and you'll be able to click on the planet and you'll be able to, in this case, trade Titanium or trade Dilithium. That's what you can do with these guys. Can't do it until they come under your umbrella until they're allied. But you can't directly control their ships. That's one thing that you can't do. So even if you had control of them, you wouldn't be able to grab these and send them places. With some of them, you can buy ships. Let's try and find an appropriate one that does that. Ooh. Ferengi! Where are you? Don't think I've got any Ferengi today, surprisingly. No, we bloody well haven't. Surprising. You can see each of them have different things. Request aid, increase influence, Vulcan shield upgrade. So they will each give you kind of different buffs. Suliban, you've got the Suliban raid. That's been nerfed, by the way. And buy a star map. Given the Suliban's nomadic nature, they have explored a lot of local sectors. This information is available for a price. Get rid of that. Oh, there's a Ferengi, look. You can buy retired frigates, retired cruisers, modern cruisers, or a battle group. And you will be able to control those ships. Hey. Romulan ship of beauties. My favourite is the TNG Warbird. Yeah, it is. Riker, I can't. We all. He says when a Romulan's going to be introduced to the game. We're working on them. I'm so sorry. That's all I can tell you. As you know, we're modders. We do this in our spare time. This isn't professional game development, unfortunately. If we could do this full time, then it would be pretty quick. But when it comes to modding, you've still got your families, you've still got your day jobs, and you've still got various things that you need to do in your spare time outside of modding. So it is dependent on how much people can do and how often they can do it. That's why we don't like to give release dates, because there's no guarantee that our whole team will be able to work on things consistently. Sometimes people need to go on holiday, sometimes people simply need to take breaks from modding because it does get quite irritating and stressful. Well, we'll have a look at that, Centurion. You can see that we've got some outstanding UI things that we want to fix in the release 2 schedule, so I imagine that's probably going to be done. Probably. Right, back to the Tedium. So now, the things that I might want to do are abilities. So let's have a look and see what kind of abilities we can get rid of. In fact, what we might do is push our work first. Git sync, commit our changes. My music just finished. Disappointing stuff. We're using something called git sync here, which is quite useful. Tortoise Git specifically. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to each individually push our changes. Nothing too serious. Ghost messaging me, bless his soul. Fix my music while I'm at it. Cheeky 70s rock. 70s style rock, it's not fun. Why doesn't Stardock employ me? Presumably because they've got all the employees they need, and also I'm sure they've got people who are more skilled than I am. I'm just a dabbler. I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a professional coder by any stretch of the imagination, and I think they probably have people with a deeper breadth of skills than I have. I mean, I don't know because I don't know them, but I've got to assume that that's the case, and I think it would be a fair assumption. My favourite Romulan ships would be the Pteridex, the Enterprise era Bird of Prey, and the Baldurs in Nemesis. Interesting. Like the curvy ones. Sorry, folks. I've got an AOT, a non-AOTF question for Gull. Have you seen or played many of the updates for Hellion? Yes. It's not improving, to be honest with you. I'll have to be frank. I'll have to be frank and say that I don't see Hellion going anywhere. I think its development is in a difficult place at the moment, because it seems to be one step forward, one step back with every change that they make, which is a crying shame because the concept is absolutely fantastic. But I think after this long, it's, got to be honest. They offered employment in a new Wales office. Would you take it? Well, I live in England, but yeah, I probably would, as long as it was the right price and I was doing the right thing. Yeah, I expect that I would. To be able to do this in a professional environment would be, yeah, something I would love. Now, these abilities here, I need to be very careful about removing. So, we're probably going to have some problems here, and we're probably going to have some crashes. So that's something to look forward to. All of these, don't want to get rid of them yet, because they probably have dependencies. Maybe not these, actually. Oh no, let's just take a look and see about getting rid of these. So I think getting rid of the Dark Combat Fleet, the Dark Support Fleet, and Dark Capital Ship are probably things that we're going to be able to get rid of. I think we can probably get rid of Spawn Phase Stabilizer as well. Ability Pirate Mercenaries, don't want to get rid of quite yet. Cripple Defense, no. Bi-directional jamming again. Titan Fleet Beacon. Yeah, we haven't got rid of all the Titan stuff yet, so. Flagship Purge we can get rid of. And its attendant buff. These. And the ability and buff. Ability flagship and buff flagship. I believe they need to stay. Wheel of the Sacrificed. I think I can probably get rid of. Alright, let's try it. Get rid of these. Ability recharge shields. I think that can probably go. These might need to stay. And these almost certainly need to stay. Hey, it costs nothing to smash the like button. 38 watching and 16 likes. Yeah, thank you so much, Declan. That's really nice of you. Should we petition Stardot to hire Stellar Parallax? I'm not sure that they would. I think they've got their own plans about what they want to do, and we're very focused in a particular area. And they're producing a lot of different types of games. I think all of these we could probably get rid of, the vast majority of. So let's try and get rid of Target Bridge. Target hangar bays. Yeah, we'll try and get rid of that as well. Weapons. Hopefully none of these are ones that we've used. We're trying to avoid reusing things. Disable targeting systems. Wonder. One thing that does concern me is this all sounds like a lot of stuff I've previously done. So let's just take a look at some of the Federation ships. Let's look at Fed. I don't know. It's a destroyer. But its abilities. Make sure that these all have a prefix. They do. Which is exactly what we wanted to see. Let's take a look at our scout as well, which should be... I thought it would be down here, but I'm wrong. I'll have a look at you. I'll have a look at that for you at some point, Yoho. I don't know what it is offhand, I'm afraid. Ah, there it is, Fed Frigate. Once again, these have all got the Fed prefixes, which is good. Very, very good news. So, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Targeting system. Target engines. Disrupt engines. Look what the difference is there. Disable shield emitters. And disable. Okay, we'll leave that as is for the moment. We once again do a quick search and see how many we've got rid of. 3153 now. Just about another 50, which is nice. Let's see if I've broken anything in game. I see your thought process there, Centurion, and it's very flattering to hear that. Oh, there you go. Really wants to disrupt engines. Skipple. Looks like it's present in a couple of places. Now there is a way that we can find out where that might be. So if we go to find in files, go to disrupt engines, and really need this to be in game info. There it is. Let's go with find all. I haven't read all the books for The Expanse. No, I'm afraid not. Now, what I was saying to Centurion is I can see your thought process for that, and I think we are good at what we do here. And I'm proud of the work that we do. But one thing that we perhaps might struggle with, or it might take us some time to learn, is coding new things into an engine, because that's not something that we've done at this point. We haven't built an engine from the ground up by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so we can see a couple of Zindies have got disrupt engines in there, and apparently the Corvette Tech Loyalist still exists. So, one thing that we can do is we can grab this, go Control F. So the Corvette Tech Loyalist doesn't actually exist. Interesting, in the Entity Manifest, which is fine. It does show up here though. So let's edit with Notepad. Scram down to the abilities and go no disrupt engines. Thank you very much. We will then do the same with Suliban Frigate. Oh, balls. Why not work? Fine. Fine. Dual frigate corvette. There's the disrupt engines, get rid of that. And the Zin frigate corvette. Purge the stock, purge the stock. And we'll get rid of this for a moment and come back in. But why? I haven't been able to purchase them, is the simple answer to that. That's an answer for Declan. Do I want to listen to Girl drone on about entities while I do my own work this afternoon? Yes. Glad I was able to answer that question for you, Dolly. Well, if Sins 2, if Stardock did say, or Ironclad more so, say they wanted us to help work on Sins 2, part of that would be developing the engine. Or at least helping the engine to do what we all wanted it to do. And as I say, that's something that we don't have any experience of. I think we could learn it, but I think it would take time. Hey, Brucey Bruce. Believe me when I tell you, I'm gonna need some Bruce checks in the near future. What's up, Iona? How you going? Hey, Seawall. How's things, my man? Right, let's just take... Come on, load in. Less sausagery, please. Oh, the load times. Absolutely chronic. That's why I'm doing this. Because the load times are just making me angry at this point. Admittedly, they're shorter when things aren't in text format, but still. Ugh. Yep, all seems well there. We've managed to load into... Oh, this map, yeah. We've managed to load into the map quite happily. And we see that... yeah, that zoom problematicness has really been mitigated on it. So much better. Still not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but my god, is it better. I think when you guys get your hands on the next version, you're going to be quite pleased about that. Right, anyhow. Okay, well, given that we've just done that, let's just push that change. I always approach this with a lot of trepidation because you can really break the game by removing a bunch of stuff. Come on now. There we go. And the reason that I'm doing these pushes on such a regular basis is that it's going to allow me to, if I make a chronic mistake, it's going to allow me to do something called a stash save and then pull all those files back in. You were definitely on the right track about the mip-maps. Absolutely, Dolly. Well done for catching that. That's a really big help to us. Huge. It was primarily the planet maps that were the cause, because they're quite big textures. We do need to do it to ships too, ultimately, but hopefully we'll have that. I don't know if we'll have it done for the second release, but for the third, almost certainly. Glad to see the SDA group fell apart. What's the SDA group? Right, where are we at? Okay, we were doing more of this. Don't need that anymore. Don't need that anymore. Back to the entity. Ooh, manifest. Back down here. Going to be covering some old ground here, which is going to be a bit annoying. Didn't want to do any of these in the short term. I have a mic right now, Iona. That's okay. These are quite old cigarettes, if I'm honest with you. I've been trying not to smoke for quite some time because, well, as many of you know, I got made redundant a little while ago, and I decided at that point that I was gonna stop smoking. But it's been an interesting few days. I dragged them out of the chest of drawers where they were sitting. Silly me. Not the brightest thing I've ever done in my life. I think we'll leave hull destruction there. Bi-directional jamming, I think we can get rid of that. Those. Fleet beacon needs to stay. Ability flagship needs to stay. Mine control. I'm not sure what that is, so it's staying. Solar flare, solar storm, etc. They stay. Oh no, is our music finished again? Do this. There we go. These short albums these days. It's no good, is it? Greater Nanite Swarm, I think we can get rid of. Reassemble. Ability reassemble, I think we're not using that anywhere. So that can probably go. Light Assault Beam, I'm pretty sure can go. Light Repair Beam, again, same thing. Although we haven't got rid of the nanites, so that's probably going to cause I better look for those. What line are we on? 2886, fine. Fort nanites, get rid of that. Ability assault nanite, get rid of that. Oh, here are the frigates. Combat, assault, support. They all need to go as well, which is good. Become an agricultural contractor. Trust me, tractor driving as well. I imagine that's true. Right, Annie, you have a good one. What does everyone think of the new Picard teaser vids? I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. We'll see. Psionic screen, I feel like that's a Titan ability, so we might get ourselves in trouble getting rid of that. But all right, let's. Well, we've probably just removed another 50 or so. So let's 1095. Yep. Let's see if those are referenced anywhere. Quick question, I was playing Fed versus Klingon, I set him to hard strategist, but they took an age to attack. I was on a small map. Is that a sin thing, or can anything be done? We're doing our best to try and make things better in that regard. We have noticed that both in stock and in most mods, AI has been pretty flaky to me. Recently. It looks like everything's okay here. But yeah, there are particular problems with AOTF that we've started to address. Specifically, the shipyards, they don't like respawning when in tactical slots, so we've had to put them back in logistic slots. That should make something of a difference. We'll see, we'll see. Did you just reallocate the more ability to the Doomsday Machine? No. Well, I haven't made the Doomsday Machine yet, and I don't believe it was a battle that made him retire. I think it was it was probably the suffering of the Romulan people following the destruction of Romulus. Possibly some of the Federation's decisions in the aftermath of that. Not bad, are they, Yoho? Yeah, I think Connor's done a good job on the renders. Doesn't look like it. Well, there we go. That would suggest to me that all is well. Given that we've been able to load it into this humongous map. What a gint. But that's, yeah, that's another 50 or so. Girl, have you heard that they're finally putting the Galaxy X into SDA3? Well, I'm a developer, and I can tell you that that's not happening. Right. Push this little change. If it's still this tune, this is called Say You Will, and the previous tune was called Good for Nothing. Good for Nothing is by a group called Carvings, And Say You Will is by a group called Well Mess. Not wellness, well mess. Shit, I've forgotten the line we were on. Lighting upgrades there that we're going to want to get rid of. I have a feeling that Elite Cruise is something that we probably use. I'm going to delete it anyway. This all looks like stuff that is linked to the tech transport. I think it's called the Tech Cap Transport. Think you'll do any multiplayer events in the near future? Yeah, I expect so. I'm hoping that we can release version 2 of AOTF soon. Don't want to give you a date on that, as you know. You know what development's like, Schism, given that you are a developer of games. But I think we're making really solid progress. I took a couple of weeks off, and now that I'm back, I can see that a lot of progress has been made in the couple of weeks that I haven't done anything, and hopefully I will be a force multiplier in the fact that I'm doing stuff as well now. So. We'll leave the Titan upgrades for the moment. I think Picard will make Hobus canon. Certainly seems to. Is Sever. We'll get rid of it. Gravity Pulse we'll get rid of. Ability Nano Remit. Nano Leech. See, I like these because the buffs are next to the ability, which is really lovely. Here's the more that people were talking about. Desperation can go. Like some size stuff. We do micro phase jumps. Now I'm hoping, always better to check and test, right? Let's take a look at Fed Cap. Crossfield? Oh no, I don't know which one it is. I think it's Fed. No, it isn't. Yeah, it is. But all the abilities are fine, so. And we'll get rid of this. Unyielding Will. Go. Straight from the front. It looks like these are all Titan abilities. Suppression Aura, that can go. Subjugating Assault can go. Charge can go. Blows of Shot. That's one of the Tech Titans, I think. Snipe Target, yep. Tech Titan. Scatter Shot. Iron Impair. Loyalist Titan. Group Shield. Furious Defense. Loyalist. don't know what the buff ability guidance itself is. Gonna leave that there for a moment. Don't know if it's necessary, but we'll leave it. Probably a few more now. Let's see, 2992. Only played the Klingon so far, so it says Centurions. It's the D7, yep. I think either the Geronimo or the Korolev is my favourite ship in this mod so far. Not sure which. As always, random vast. There are going to be errors. That's the most likely one to pick any errors up. Yeah, so removing like 50 entities at a time, like this, or 60 entities there, I think is wise unless you've done a total rebase, which of course we haven't. So I'm just trying to save myself some work, because if I remove 300 or 400 entities and then find that there's a problem that I can't find the source of, that's going to cause me such a massive headache. That I'll probably won't want to live. All seems okay so far. No problems. See, our load times are still very long. Gotta keep trying. Gotta keep trying. Lot of work to be done. Lot of work to be done. I'm sure as a community you're going to be quite happy with the quality of life improvements that we're trying to do. It will make a difference. Alright, all seems well. So we can push this little change as well. Lovely. Ooh, smoother. So, let's, as always, save ourselves some potential future work. I can sense, like, in the background that Bruce is probably having a bit of a hemorrhage about this, because I'm removing a lot of things from the entity manifest, but they haven't been removed from the folder, like the actual abilities or buffs themselves. If they're sat within the folder, the game info folder, they haven't been removed yet. So so Bruce is probably doing his nut because he hates stuff like that. He'll be fine. He'll be all right, Bruce. I'll do them later on. We'll do a Bruce test after I've done all the bits I need to do, and then we'll get rid of those. Oh, you're off, Nectar. Bye-bye. Are we planning to add the ship from the First Federation? Not that I know of. I don't believe we are. But never say never. I think we were probably somewhere around here. Yeah, we were. These are all researches, so we don't need to concern ourselves with those yet. We'll get rid of the abilities first, then the research. Because if the ability calls on a research, of course, it will crash the game. If the research no longer exists, but the ability does. Okay. This is when things are going to get difficult. Because, for example, do we have our own colonize abilities? That's something worth checking, isn't it? Yes, we've considered that, Draconia. And let's just take a look and see what abilities it's got. Hopefully we've got special. Yes, lovely. Oh, we need to look at the colony ship as well. But I have the Andorian ship yet. We are going to put an ability in there that allows you to purchase some. But I haven't done that yet. Colony. Frigate colony. There it is. Look at that. We've actually done what we're supposed to. This go ahead. So that would suggest this is going to be horrific. I think the best thing that we can do here is, so we'll go to ability Xeno Defense, grab Xeno Defense, complete the ability. Now this is going to be tedious. We'll have to do that. There you go, buff Xeno Defense. See that there are 3 here. And there's worthy cause. Gonna have to do this over and over, really. Worth calls as opposed to worthy calls. Ability wormhole. See what this is. No direct buff, but ability wormhole. So that's something that is worth wondering about. It's not in here, it is a stock entity. I think we're going to leave that. Till I can investigate it a little bit further. Ability weapon jam. Let's scroll down to the bottom of these buffs. Click kind of here. Weapon jam. And we had volley fire up here as well. volatile nanites, so let's get rid of those. They are. Vengeance. I think I saw as an ability up there. God, this is tedious bloody stuff. And all these unstoppable phase jumps are big pyro. Yeah, that's the ones. What's up, Cryptic? Got a new, you got a new name. What's going on? Unstable gas. Couple of unstable gas things there. Get rid of those. Scrolling back up. Ugh. But you feel lucky to be watching this. Transfer antimatter. Faster. Timed charges, that can probably go as well. And we've got a couple of time charges here. Placing inactivated, very good. Do one or two more of these, and then check. As I say, don't want to repeatedly do this. If telekinetic push, that can go.
Tonight is all about to let it go. Pick another road.
The buff teleport here. Don't know what those are. I'm gonna leave those. And then I will experiment with removing them later. Oh, there you go. Here's teleport disabled. We'll get rid of those. As long as I can be sure that I'm removing the both the buff and the abilities. The reason that I do it like this is by virtue of the fact that if I remove a ability without if I remove a buff without removing the ability as well, then that will cause an error in the game. Tech orbital cannons. The space mine, I think I'm going to leave. Moment. Tech orbital cannon and orbital cannon loyalist. Let's see if we can find a buff that coincides with those. Cannon. Once again, construction and deconstruction I'm going to leave for the moment. Tech frigate colonise can go, and capital ship colonise. Colonise extractors. Ability taunt can go. And I think that's going to be it for this little roll. Right, let's see how we're doing. We've got rid of another 50 or so. 2942. Yep. Hey, Taihesehis. I am aware that this is called Ages of the Federation. Well, it's got a subtitle as well. Ages of the Federation: The 4 Years' War. Specifically is what this is called. Right, let's see if I've made any terrible errors. Uh-oh. Need to look for that one. Anything else? I knew it! Okay, well, let's find it. Find Worth Cause. And we know we're in the right file. No cryptic, because it's got a subtitle, The 4 Years' War. Frigate Tech Envoy, which apparently I've left in. Oh, it's on the Romulan Envoy as well. Let's get rid... Oh, look at all the... and anything on. Save that. And then... Frigate Tech Envoy shouldn't really be in the spawn listings. No, it's not in the spawn listings. Well, that's fine. So I think we've dealt with it on the Romulan side. What was the other one that was a problem? Do a search for that as well. Nope, never played the StarCraft games. Full event lightning storm. Huh. God knows what either of these things are here. How bizarre. This is the Frigate Tech Colony. So it's all worth us checking to see if this is spawn listings. No, okay. In theory, that should have fixed those errors. Anything else? Oh, unstable gas. Yes, Paul. There are going to be other factions in the future.
I know you've been down thinking about him again. I know that your heart's been broken.
And these, well, they shouldn't be in the spawn listings anymore.
And start being yourself. You can put on your dress. We can play your favorite.
Okay, that's that. Let's see. All those errors are resolved. I really liked SGU. I thought SGU was very different. I mean, it wasn't the same as other Stargates, and I think when comparing it to that, if you want it to be like the other Stargates, you're going to be disappointed. But I approached it a little bit, differently, and it was very good. I liked the isolation. I liked the difficulty. As always, random vast.
Breakups leave the scars, you don't need to be ashamed. Everyone's got their hearts broken sometime. Let's go out and lose our minds, forget all about him. You can put on your dress, dancing to your favorite song. Everybody will sing along, sing along, sing along. So put your hands up, this is what we have to do. Tell me, can you feel it too, feel it too? Maybe you should go work that body. You should go work that body. The body won't stop till we're gray and old. Maybe for a second we can lose control.
Looking at Discord, apparently somebody let me write one of the Stellaris events. I really like the ancient ships, chiefly because they're not symmetrical. I think as much as I like symmetrical ships, I think if they're ships that are only intended for space, perhaps symmetry at times does them a disservice because they don't need to be symmetrical in space. With a lack of resistance, as long as they've got engines in a correct placement or at the correct thrust ratio, in order to not have their mass pull them in random directions, you can build a spaceship in any shape that you want because you don't have air resistance. Oh, come here. Jaffa cake. Ooh, that sounds good. Who's going to send me a Jaffa cake? Alright, there we go. So we now know that this is... Okay, it's all working now. I don't think we've actually taken many off here, have we? Or am I just fixing problems? Fixing problems. Right, and this is pushable. Lovely. Oh, he's got so much stuff. Getting a bit bored of doing this now, though, I must admit. See, we're doing... It's our own stuff down to... Probably about 2,000, I expect. Oh, no, I lied. 1,500? Yeah, about 1,500 is where our own stuff really starts. So about halfway, and then the other half is stock stuff. So the more of this stock stuff that I can remember, the nicer things will be. I'm going to try something. No, I'm not. Could get rid of these star bases. Let's try it. If we get rid of these star bases, then it's plausible we can get rid of the star base upgrades. This probably isn't going to work out well. But I'm always keen to get rid of things that have got models. Because of course models have got to be loaded in. Cool, well that worked. I'm tempted to get rid of all these. I'm going to try it. Titan upgrades. I think we've removed the Titans, so let's Control C, so copy all of this. Remember that it's on line 2618, guys. Mind you, I don't suppose it matters very much. Get rid of them. 7-1. And we'll see what happens here. Suspect nothing good. Oh. Dolly's just sent me a nice screenshot of a Wraith Capital Factory. Good. I'll show you guys. Nice, didn't it? I think we may have just got away with that. Star matchup. What do you think of Jade Empire? Saw it in the desktop. I love Jade Empire. It's one of the best games ever made. Absolutely fantastic game. Back in BioWare's heyday, before fucking Anthem. It was BioWare, wasn't it? Jade Empire, KOTOR, two of the gist. KOTOR 2, I think that was Obsidian. But still very, very good, based on I can't turn my mic volume up, no. The game volume, it's only there for about half a second, mate, so the music is off other than the intro, so why bother? And also, I can't turn the sound of the intro off, it's just not possible. Anthem is a pathetic excuse for a game. 6 years of development, and they've given you a game with some nice mechanics but no content whatsoever. And then the content that they said they were going to bring you with Cataclysm, they've delayed indefinitely. What kind of development schedule is that? What they did is they gave us a tech demo, if you like, was it a couple of years ago, just over a year ago in E3, and they said this is the game we're going to produce, but they'd actually done fuck all, and that's the problem with Anthem, is they've done fuck all. They hadn't got the architecture there, and now they've done a live service game which they expect us to pay for, and they put loads of microtransactions in that they expect you to keep paying for when there's no bloody content in the game. What a pathetic excuse it is for a game. I fucking hate live service games. They're absolutely ridiculous. They can suck my dick. Anyway, woo! Woo, settle down, me. Oh, hi, Johnny. Just in time for a rant. Right, back to modding. Back to modding. I've forgotten what I was doing. That's how you really feel. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Andromeda started badly, but ultimately Andromeda ended up as an okay game. The story is nowhere near as strong as Mass Effect 3, but that's because we had 3 games in order to fall in love with the characters. So you will always feel more strongly for the characters in a game series, especially considering that they were better written. And let's be honest, they were better written. And in a situation where you're placed at the heart of something that affects your world. So Mass Effect had that really strong script writing and a strong association for players. You were protecting Earth, and that's a big thing for you. It's something that you want to do because you care about presumably most of you care about your home planet. Whereas in Andromeda you were catapulted into another galaxy entirely. So what you were doing was just for a handful of colonists, and while that is, I'm sure, just as important, the story, the level of gut feeling towards protecting that was never going to be quite as good. The script writing wasn't quite as good, and there were initial problems with it, absolutely. Various animation issues, etc., etc. But the gameplay itself was relatively strong. Anthem Devstate Galatap, absolutely. I don't even think it's their fault. Like, the developers were asked to do something that was totally outside their realm of experience. So, is it any real surprise that there have been issues? And that's a symptom of the way that EA, I suppose, conducts its business. Not only does it want to make a lot of profit, but it wants to make a lot of profit consistently. So a game that just releases as is, and they only get say 1, 2, 3 volumes of income from the game itself and any future DLCs. That's not good enough for them. No, they want a constant stream of income, and that's what they've been doing with their games. You look at the things that they produce. It's all live service stuff, and it's all stuff that they want you to make regular microtransactions on. And they want to hook you. It's a deceitful, awful practice, and no matter how much they suggest that it's targeted at adults, it's not. It's targeted at children. Because once a child has stolen their mother or father's credit card and they've made those purchases, they've got the money. They don't give a shit. Awful practice. Right, where was I up to? Ability suppression. Let's do that one. Oh, I've got too far. Subversion. While we're down here. I suppose we'll get rid of targeting uplink as well. We've got our stun burst. Let's get rid of that.
Out in stormy weather, I might have the blues, but nothing ever stopped me
No, Declan, you sleep well.
from dusting off my shoes. You might think you'll see me falling to the ground, but I threw up my umbrella when rain starts hitting down. On a bad day, on a good day, I don't need no sunshine, 'cause I'm dancing with the rain. You will see me.
I apologise for the ranting, folks. I feel quite strongly about it.
I don't need no sunshine, you keep me going strong. I just need my happy face to keep me moving on.
Do steal antimatter as well. Are there anyone watching some Trek series right now? I hope not. What are you watching, Flex? I'm glad you're enjoying them, Draconian. Spying attacks.
Looking out the window,
Do sprint as well.
reflecting who I am. No one ever stopped me, not even Uncle Sam. Life might be a struggle, life might be a fight, but I am here to show the world that I can make it right. On a bad day, on a good day.
It's not a good stream without a good rant. Yeah. Am I known for that? Is that a thing? Maybe I should rant more. I don't know. You tell me. one thing that I do approve of when it comes to gaming is I approve of season passes. I think they're, on the whole, I think they're quite a good idea, and I do approve of paid DLCs. I quite like the model that Creative Assembly does when it comes to DLCs. They often release a small amount of free DLC alongside a paid DLC, so you kind of get a bit of a taster, which I do quite like. I think that's quite a nice way of maintaining interest from the community that can't afford to buy new DLC. So they're staying on the right side, if you like, of the people who've bought their base game, while at the same time offering something that they could hopefully make a little bit more profit out of. And I fully recognise that that game companies, they need to make a profit, and that in traditionally produced games, the profit levels aren't there the way that they used to be. We look at if you go way back when to say the NES games, NES and Super Nintendo and Sega games. Average retail for those was about $60 in kind of in the 90s. And the amount of development time and effort that went into those games was, let's be honest, a little bit less than the development time and effort that goes into games in a modern scale, because we have much greater expectations as gamers now. And yet, the price of games hasn't increased at all. So, the profit margin that gaming companies are making is being squeezed. And I do fully appreciate and accept that. And that's probably part, I suppose, that games as a live service, that's a symptom of that. Realistically speaking, would I be averse to game companies with really good quality titles upping their prices a bit? No, I don't think I would. I think that wouldn't be a problem in the great scheme of things. Popping an extra £10 on a really high quality game in order to ensure that the game company can survive and thrive. Yeah, absolutely. If it's producing quality content. I agree with you there, Flex. I do agree with you there. If there's extremely limited content in a DLC, it can be quite disappointing. And Centurion, to an extent, you're right. You do need to be sure that the company is going to deliver on its future DLC if you buy a season pass. I wouldn't buy a season pass to an indie game with an indie game company that had never produced a game before. That's something that I'd be very, very reluctant to do. But with an established company that I could be relatively sure that ultimately they would deliver on, yes, I would buy a season pass. I've seen some videos of Starfield, not sure. I don't know what I think of it yet. I'll need to see a little bit more before I can make any real decision. It looks like it's still being made on a creation engine, so I'm a little bit dubious. I was just translating for British prices. We paid about £45 for NES games, which translates to probably more than 60. But I was ballparking it at $60. So that's just my experience. I'm afraid I didn't grow up in New York, so I couldn't tell you. You're somewhere in New York State, aren't you? I think. Module. Let's give it that. Speed boost. Give it that. And then we'll do a little check. Two 837. Slowly eating that. Uh-oh. Let's see what this is attached to. Anything else that I need to concern myself for? Ability sprint. Alright, we should check that. Do a quick find all. Tedium, would that be Deutschmark? Just trying to work out where you're from, Flex. Frigate Tech Heavy and Frigate Pirate Heavy, I don't believe they're spawn listings anymore. I don't think. So that might have resolved that. Let's have a look. I'm actually surprised that 29 of you are still watching on something that must be a little bit tedious to watch, so thank you very much, I appreciate that. The time for the feds in the TMP era, question. That is a good question, we're not sure yet. I think Max may have underwritten something, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about it yet. I'm going to have to leave you without an answer on that one, I apologise. You know, I've been wanting to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey for ages, but I just still haven't got around to getting it. I think, well, the thing is, we were, I think, I was very young, but I was alive when the NES came out, just about. Or at least in its early days. I remember them releasing the SNES, and it being a massive thing with my mates. I remember, like, sat on my mate's couch playing Star Fox. Well, it wasn't called Lilac Wars? I think it was called Lilac Wars. Or Star Fox, one of the two. I'm not sure which is older, but playing one of the Star Fox games on SNES when I think we were about 6. Pretty strong memory. I used to love going to his house because I got unhealthy food there. Really good friend of mine when I was a kid called David Davis. Fantastic name. He was the first of my friends to get a Dreamcast as well, and it was like, whoa, this is advanced. Well, thank you so much, Nunito. He says, you made quite literally the best mod for a game I had the pleasure to play. There are some other really good mods out there, though. The lack of non-so hosted Star Trek games has been discouraging until I found it. It can be problematic. Yep. Oh, that's squad error. We need to fix that. I don't know what causes it. Yeah, apparently Alexios, his voice work is a little bit flat. Yeah. In a long road, yes. So we're quite nicely reducing the load order here. I'm quite pleased about it. Let's just see. The buggers leaving me alone like this. How dare they? I expect better, and I'll never get it. Not the MP David Davis, no. The MP David Davis, I'm not quite as fond of. Don't want to get too far into politics, but yes, I don't overly like his voting record, and I don't necessarily like his ethos on many things. Oh, playing Sonic on the Sega Mega Drive, yes. Since you had a Mega Drive, Richard, do you remember a game for the Mega Drive where you played as a character dressed in blue? It was a side-scrolling kind of game, a little bit like Sonic or Mario or whatever. But you're a geezer, and you put different rings on your fingers in order to produce different kind of like magical effects. And you could punch fireballs at your enemies and stuff like that. Does anybody remember what that was called? Because I remember really enjoying that. It was called Star Trek Generations. The Star Trek game I played was Birth of the Federation. Wow, what a game. A game. A lot of research subjects. I'd love to get rid of those, but we're not at the point where we can do yet. We need to get rid of the abilities that might be associated with them, and of course the ships first. So my order of operations for removing these things was get rid of the ships first, then get rid of the abilities and their attendant buffs, and then get rid of the research in order to avoid dependency issues. I don't think it was Alex the Kid. Golden Axe was pretty cool. I enjoyed Golden Axe. Do you find yourself, when you talk about stuff like this, if you've still got like a Mega Drive or something like that, do you find yourself wanting to plug it in? I always find that that's the case. Still play Birth of the Federation, nice. Low population growth, I think, is going to be the next one. That solar one, I suspect, is something that's tied. Spawn Squad, I think I'm going to leave that there. Solar regeneration, yeah. Slow population growth. Slow enemy hyperspace. It wasn't Captain Planet either. Earth, fire, wind, water, heart. Fucking heart. Ship cripple. Shield restore. I think we'll then go up to buff self-repair, possibly. I think these are... Oh, shield projection, no. Self-destruct buff, I think we can get rid of. No, it wasn't Power Rangers either. Oh, I've gone too far. Way too far. Sabotage engine. Antimatter. Revenge bounty. Get rid of that. Oh god, cartoons. People want to talk about cartoons. Let me know. What are your favourite cartoons growing up? Shield restore. Shield regeneration and shield projection as well. I may have made some mistakes here. We'll find out. Beast Wars could well have been. I love Bucky O'Hare. Bucky O'Hare was amazing. Bucky! Captain Bucky O'Hare! Quilly to Wit. Was the principal character in that, wasn't he? Nerd kid. Does anybody remember Botsmaster with a Z? B-O-T-Z, because everything had a Z in. during that period when I was growing up because it made it cool. Bots Master, where this kind of multi-millionaire kid in a skyscraper that could sink into the ground, he made all these sports bots, and then he fought against the man, fought against the big corporation. He had a particular robot that he designed later on, which wasn't a sports bot. It was supposed to be a combat robot, and it was called Ninjas. Of course, with a couple of Zs at the end, because it made it cooler. And they all had 3D shades. That's the thing that I always remember from it. They're out in the world, in 3 dimensions, and they're like, oh, engage the 3D shades. Why? People are going to start going on about the Queen's nose and penny crayon shortly. He's the Bots Master, ZZ for short. Yes, all of the Zs. Thank you, Lucian. Done bad somewhere. Rastgo, I suspect that the destruction. One thing that it's fairly clear on is that he led the relief fleet to Romulus after it was destroyed. So I suspect. That didn't. Oh, match. I suspect that somehow changed. Flex, thank you very much for subscribing, my man. I appreciate that. I suspect that somehow changed him, whether it's because the Federation prevented him from doing all that he could, or because of the, I wanted to say human suffering, but no, because of the massive amount of suffering that he saw during those relief efforts. I suspect that is the primary reason and the primary driver. But it's always wise not to quote me, because I could be wrong. I am often wrong about these things. Anything else I need to concern myself with? If you like this conversation, please press the like button. Yes, that would be lovely. Thank you very much for suggesting that, Aloran. Round the Twist. Oh man, that was a weird show. Have you ever? Oh, the Lighthouse family. And ironically, the family lived in a lighthouse, of course, as we know. Tell these are based on stock assets because they've still got loads of stock abilities hanging about. Gutting. I think we've already done that one, haven't we? I think those are the only two. I don't know, we'll find out shortly. Possible that any prejudice against the Romulan Star Empire that were to reveal themselves among the Federation during the time of Hobus would really sour Picard's outlook on Starfleet. Yes, entirely plausible. And I know this is loud. Sorry that's not full screen. If I full screen it, it goes away, so. I know somebody wanted to watch it. You think we'll see Q in the Picard series? Oh, that'd be awesome. It would be really interesting to see like a thoughtful and considered Q, because he recognises the damage done to Picard. That would be a really interesting episode to segue into. I doubt it. But I doubt whether we will see Q. Oh, I've got to press the go button. Anybody remember Pirates of Darkwater? Getting back onto cartoons. I remember enjoying Pirates of Darkwater. That was quite fun. Refilling my fake cigarette. Apologies. There we go. And it looks like we're good. You think that the TNG crew is still alive? I think much of them will be, yeah. What game is this, Jerry? This is Ages of the Federation. It's a mod rather than a game. But the game is Sins of a Solar Empire Rebellion.
Unable to comply.
Beautiful. Sorry, I just decided to go on a little trip around the around the fleet. Lovely. Right, anyway, sorry. Distracted. That was a really nice thing to put in. In fact, interestingly, I think most of those sounds come from the Star Trek 2009. So, there's one thing that they did okay. Like the sound when they exit warp. Thump. Give it a thump. Right, I'm thinking that I might want to call the stream quits now. We've got rid of about 500 different entities in there, which is nice. There is bound to be some cleanup that I need to do with a Bruce check. And then there's a bunch more stuff that I'll need to do as well. Yay! Those circular asteroids always throw me off. Yeah, they are a bit different. Right, fellas, I think that'll be it for me. I hope you've enjoyed my talking and ranting and just general sausagery. There we are. Let me know your thoughts. If you really like the type of content that I'm doing here, make sure you drop a like when it comes to streams like this. They are quite time consuming, and they do slow my work process down a little bit because I like to interact with you guys. But I think they're worth doing. Because it allows you to, it basically it gets all you guys in a room to talk Trek, which is a really good thing in my opinion. But I will see you all in the next one, folks. Make sure, if you haven't already, to take a look at the bits and bobs I have in the description. Specifically, I do run a Twitch channel as well, and I fairly regularly do streams on there. You might like to give me a follow on there. You might also like to join my personal Discord so you can chat with me directly. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, and if you really, really like the content creation, so the production of mods that I do, or I am part of a team that does, I should say, and you like the content that I put up on YouTube and Twitch, feel free to have a look at my Patreon, which is also available as a link in there. As little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping me out, believe me. Right, folks, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.